Hi, I'm Steve and welcome to my kitchen. Today I want to demonstrate the smart and easy way to make soft pretzels, pretzel sticks, and pretzel bites. Like these. In one batch I'll be making 2 pretzels, 2 pretzel sticks, and a basket full of pretzel bites. I've set up the workspace with my utensils and my ingredients. For the dough I'll be using 3 cups flour, 1½ teaspoons salt, 1/4 teaspoon instant yeast, 1 tablespoon sugar, 10½ ounces of water. And to give the pretzels their special flavor and texture, I'll be using 3 tablespoons baking soda, 2 egg yolks, 3 to 4 tablespoons water, and coarse sea salt. The baking soda box is not well designed. My solution was to take the label off an old baking powder box and use it for my baking soda. I'm going to start with the dry ingredients. 3 cups flour. I use the scoop and shake method for measuring flour. I use bread flour, but it's perfectly acceptable to use all-purpose flour. In fact, most people use all-purpose flour for pretzels. Personally, I use bread flour for soft pretzels and all-purpose flour for hard pretzels. Next, 1½ teaspoon salt. I use everyday table salt. There are a number of no-knead recipes in which the salt varies from 1 to 2 teaspoons, depending upon your diet. I use a heaping teaspoon to get my 1.5 teaspoons. 1/4 teaspoon instant yeast, sometimes referred to as bread machine yeast. And 1 tablespoon sugar. Before we add the wet ingredients, I want to mix the dry ingredients to ensure the yeast, salt, and sugar are evenly distributed throughout the flour. Now it's time for the wet ingredients. 10½ ounces cool tap water. Next, I'll combine the wet and dry ingredients. Those of you who are familiar with no-knead bread probably noted I'm using 10½ ounces versus 12 ounces water. The reason I've reduced the water is because I need to shape the dough to make pretzels. This is what Cook's Illustrated refers to as almost no-knead dough. You will notice some differences in the process and techniques I use. Because I'm using less water, I get to a point where stirring the dough with a spoon becomes less effective. Don't fight it. Use your spatula. Then rinse one hand in water. Pick up the dough ball, turn it over several times, and the moisture from your hand will coat the outside of the dough ball and pick up the last bits. Then smooch the dough a couple more times. And we're done. All we need to do now is cover the bowl with plastic wrap, leave it on the counter to proof, and Mother Nature will do the kneading for us. I'll see you in the morning. No-knead dough should be proofed for 8 to 18 hours, which gives you a lot of flexibility. For example, you could make the dough in the morning and bake the pretzels to snack on during Monday Night Football. Or you could make the dough in the evening, bake the next morning, and have oven-fresh pretzels to snack on for the day. The dough is proofed overnight and more than doubled in size. This is what no-knead bread is all about. You replace the arduous task of kneading with long proofing times. Mother Nature does the work for you. Okay, it's time to make the pretzels. Next, I'll dust the workspace with flour and scrape the dough out of the bowl. It's strange nature tells us Mother Nature has done her job. With floured hands, I'm going to lightly pat the dough to flatten. Then using a plastic bowl scraper, I'll fold the dough over onto itself, forming a ball. I want to make 8 portions, so I'll divide the ball in half, then quarters, then eighths. I want to form a long rope, but right now the dough is too elastic, so I'm going to roll each piece with the palm of my hands, form each into a long roll, and set them aside. The 10-minute wait allowed the yeast to work and the dough was more relaxed. Now I can form the pretzels. I'm going to stretch the dough by swinging it like a jump rope. I'm going to form the first 2 into the traditional shape of a pretzel by making an inverted U and crossing the 2 legs over each other. I'll cut this one in half to form 2 pretzel sticks. And I'll make the remaining 5 into bites by cutting them into 1-inch lengths. I shape the pretzels and place them on a flour sack towel. They're ready to be poached and it's time to preheat the oven. I position the rack in the lower part of the oven, inserted the baking stone, and set the oven to 450 degrees. While the oven is preheating, I'll poach the pretzels. I set up my workspace. I have the pretzels off to the left and a second flour sack towel off to the right. Poaching is the added step that makes a pretzel a pretzel. This step is what gives the pretzel its nice chewy crust. I filled a large skillet with 2 inches of water and brought it to a boil. Now I'm going to reduce it to a simmer and add baking soda 1 tablespoon at a time. It's going to foam. That's why I do it 1 tablespoon at a time. Next, I'll drop the pretzels and pretzel sticks into the water and poach them for 30 seconds on each side. It's been 30 seconds, and I'll flip them over. I'll remove them with a slotted spatula and place them on the flour sack towel to drain. Next, I'll do the pretzel bites in 2 batches, poaching them for 30 seconds per side and placing them on the flour sack towel to drain. The first batch is done and the second batch is poaching. By the way, I use a baking sheet under the flour sack towel to help transport the dough. After finishing the second batch, I transferred the pretzels from flour sack towels to 2 separate sheets of parchment paper, each about the size of my baking stone. By making the parchment paper the size of my baking stone, it helps me space the pretzels so they will fit on the baking stone. The parchment paper box is not well designed. It's almost impossible to tear the paper and get a straight line. Solution: use the edge of the box as a guide and cut the paper with a blade on your cutting board. It's time to make the egg wash. 2 egg yolks and 4 tablespoons water. The egg wash will give the pretzels a nice glossy appearance. To separate the yolk, transfer the egg yolk from one side to the other and the egg white will fall into the bowl. Then use the shell to measure the water. You don't need to be exact. When you measure the water, don't think of tablespoons. Basically, you want twice as much water as egg yolk. The purpose of the water is to dilute the egg yolk so that it'll be easier to brush on the pretzels. Next, I'll baste the pretzels with the egg wash. Sprinkle on a little sea salt. And they're ready for the oven. I'm going to use a pizza peel to pick up the pretzels, including the parchment paper, and insert them into the oven on the baking stone. I'm setting the timer for 14 minutes. I put the first batch in the oven. After 14 minutes, I took them out and put the second batch in the oven. The second batch is ready. The pizza peel is a very convenient tool for reaching into a hot oven. I'll slide it under the front edge of the parchment paper, grab the corner, and then slide the peel under as I hold the paper. Well, here they are. What do you think? I serve the pretzels hot from the oven. I want my pretzel bites to be about the size of my thumb. If they're too small, they won't be as soft and chewy. When I serve guests, I put the pretzels in a basket and go around offering it to each guest before putting it on the counter. When I come back, the basket is frequently empty. The bites will always go first. Guests like to nibble. I also use pretzels for sandwiches. It's one of the reasons I make them this size and shape. And for my dip and sandwich spread, I combined 4 tablespoons mayonnaise, 3 tablespoons Dijon mustard, 1 tablespoon brown sugar, and 1 teaspoon apple cider vinegar. The vinegar gives it that little hidden taste that will have your guests guessing. I have a variety of videos demonstrating no-knead breads and smart and easy recipes. You may want to take a look at my YouTube channel. It's free. Just click on the Artisan Bread with Steve tab above this screen.